Hello everyone, my name is Orlando, and today we're going to be talking about how do you get into your first investment property. A lot of subscribers have been asking me, how do you get into this real estate thing? And so today we're going to just go over, getting into your first property. I promise you, listening to this whole video at the very end, further down the video, you will know by the end of it how to really get and how to start the process. So let's just jump right into the subject. Okay, so what is the easiest way to get into real estate, especially the investing portion, right? So the easiest way is to live in one side and rent the other. And the reason why I'm saying sides is because me personally, I always start out with duplexes. Anything multifamily, right? So that includes basically 2 to 4 units. I don't really do single families because single families are, if you really look at single families, you either have to rent it or you don't. When you do a duplex, one side will cover my mortgage or should at least cover most of your mortgage if you haven't rented. So you have like double the chance of actually not having a vacancy. Whereas single family, either it's rented or it's not, right? So you either have a vacancy or you don't. And so that's the reason why I stay out of single families and I just direct everyone to duplexes and up. So that's one. But when you go to a bank and you say, hey, I want to live in one side and rent out the other, to them, it's just as if you were going to buy a single family and live in it. They do not care about the other portion that you're renting out. It is still considered residential real estate from units 1 to 4. So for them, it's the same thing as renting a single family home. So what does that mean for you? Well, the biggest thing for you to take out of this is the down payment portion. This is by far one of the biggest issues that borrowers have or individuals have getting into real estate is that there's a big barrier of entry for the amount of money that you have to put down on the real estate. So most people believe that to get into real estate, you have to bring in 20+%. And while that will be very true for commercial real estate and residential real estate, especially if you're living in it, and this only applies if you are living in one of the units. This does not apply if you're buying a residential property and you're just using it for investment purposes only, and you will not be living in it. This does not apply. It only applies if you're living in it. If you're living in one of the units and you're renting out the others, the down payment portion is about 3.5%. Just think about that. 3.5% is your down payment. So if you're buying a $100,000 duplex, that means that you have to bring to the table $3,500. Now let's compare that to an investment property where you will not be living in one of the units, right? You would have to bring in, on a $100,000 duplex, you would have to bring in $20,000. Now you see the difference? The down payment portion is significantly bigger on the investment property than it is on the property that you're living in. So this is the reason why getting into real estate when you're going to live in one side is beneficial, right? If you're trying to get into real estate, this is the way to do it. Let's go over the finances. The finances are the biggest kicker. If you finance the property and you're going to be living in one side of it, you're probably going to get a 30-year term over a 30-year amortization. What does that mean? What that means is that the payments are stretched out for 30 years, basically. And the term is a 30-year. Now let's do a versus. And if you were to just do an investment property, what would the terms be on that? The terms for that will likely be a 7-year term with the payments stretched out over a 20-year time frame. So that still means in 7 years, you will still have to refinance the loan. Where the other loan, where you're living in it, the whole term of the loan, it's a permanent loan. There's no need for you to refinance. It's a long-term loan. So you see the benefits here of actually living in one side and renting out the others. Next, subject would be, how long do I have to stay in this unit? So the rules say that so long you stay in the unit for a year, you can then move out of the unit and move into another unit. Now, this is possible, and this is written in the loan, in the mortgage. So you can basically stay in this property for a year, then leave, rent out that unit, and do the same thing over and over and over again. Now, I do understand that some people do not want to live in a duplex and they prefer to live in a single family home. But this is by far the easiest way to get into real estate, as far as the barrier of entry when it comes to the down payment, as far as long-term loans, as far as being able to replicate this multiple times. And what I did is I did this multiple times, and then you can move into a single family home after you maybe do it 2 or 3 times. It's up to you. You could probably do this up to about 10 times before you're capped. So I say take advantage of it. Take advantage of this situation where you can get into a property with almost a low down payment. Your financing is perfect on it, and rates are just crazy right now, right? Almost under 2.5, 2.7, under 3%. You can't beat this. This would be a perfect time, if you can find the property, to get into a duplex at 3.5%. Your credit, you could just have decent credit. You don't have to have like the best credit, but just have decent credit. This is the perfect time, guys. That's how you get into your first deal. So that's how you get into your first property, guys. So let's go over a quick summary about what you have to do, because there was a lot of information that I just gave you there. And so let's just put it all in one big pretty package here, right? So you first go look for the property, right? You find the property. It has to be a property that is a duplex, so between 2 and 4 units you want to find. Then you go look for your financing. The bank that you choose, you will be buying this property just as a regular homeowner. And with that being said, it allows you to put down a minimum of 3.5%. 3.5%. So then after you find the property and you close on the property, you can then stay in the unit for 1 year, and then move on to the next property and do this over and over and over again. And each time that you do this, you get credit. You get credit for the amount of income that you're getting from the other unit, which increases your buying power with the next bank and the next bank and the next bank. Can you imagine having 4 properties that are income producing and what your purchase power will be when you get to 4, 5, 6? Right, it's a lot. So that's how you get into your first property, guys. Follow those instructions, and I promise you, you will get into your first property. So once again, guys, if you really appreciate this content that I'm giving you and you found value in it, please hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification button so that when I release videos like this, that you will get notified. And I really appreciate all of my subscribers and everybody watching this video. Talk to you soon. Thanks.